Thank you for joining this Leadership Lunchbox. This is the fourth one, so grateful for everyone for coming to this one. They're a regular event, and as some of you'll probably know, I always want them to be valuable, not disruptive, which is why we make them 30 minutes on a Monday lunchtime. And in each one, I cover an important business, leadership, or management topic. Because for me, I firmly believe that for a practice to be successful, it needs to be the best business it can be. This is being recorded and there will be going on a YouTube channel. I will email the slide deck around to everybody later on as well. Right, get the slides to move on, it'd be good, wouldn't it? Right, so just before we get stuck in, I'll just do some introductions for those who don't know me. So I'm Gary Hughes. I support practices, PCNs, federations, managers and GP partners to help them lead and manage better businesses. I was a practice manager for 13 years and I've been in primary care for 17 years. I've been a founding director of the GP Federation, a PCN board member, and I've got an MBA and a certificate in medical education. My own business is Leadership in Practice. And through the website, I provide free resources, and there's a library of now 200 short blogs, easy read blogs, and everything is created to help you make your practice the best business it can be. Since 2017, I've also hosted the Leadership in Practice podcast, and in each episode, I interview an expert from or connected to primary care, and in each one, you'll find some great advice, and they always end with a really useful takeaway. New episodes just recently gone live, and that was addressing the question of do practice managers impact patient outcomes? Now I also deliver these Leadership Lunchbox webinars, and they're to help you build a better business, and they're for managers, partners, and anyone in primary care. So today we're going to cover staff engagement and morale. Now, we all know there's no magic wand for this. But what I do have are some effective practical advice and tools for you, things that I know work. So we're going to cover today things that make a difference to engagement and morale. We'll start with 4 key strategies for better staff engagement. We'll then look at the impact of feedback and managing performance. And we'll finish with how to build an engaged team. And after each one of these sections, I've got some suggestions of something that you can actually try at the practice. So to start, I'd like you to do something for me. I'm not going to ask you to share anything. What I'd like you to do is think of someone in your team who doesn't seem engaged. And last time I delivered this, I asked that question and I was sort of challenged with just one person. Well, if you've got more than one, that's fine. But think of someone in your team who doesn't seem engaged. Or maybe it's a team in the practice that you're struggling to get engaged. So you could just think of someone. Hopefully got someone in your thoughts. So what do you think they're feeling? And is it having a wider impact on others? And how does it make you feel? Hang on to those thoughts. We're going to come back to that later. So I've always said that managing staff is the best and the worst part of the job. When staff are flying, happy, and the relationship are great, it's fantastic. But when they aren't happy and things aren't working so well, then relationships can sour. And managing them can then feel like the worst job in the world. Now, we always want staff to be happy and engaged. It's better for them, for us, the patients, and the practice. And we know that when staff are engaged, then their performance and well-being will improve. There's less staff turnover. We'll get fewer complaints and safety events. And there's going to be better outcomes for patients. And the practice is probably also going to be more profitable. But what does engaged mean? Well, for me, it's being enthusiastic and interested. It's being motivated and energized. It's being creative and supportive. And absolutely, it's being committed. But the biggest The bigger question is how they become engaged. Is that about them, or is it about us? Or is it to do with the circumstances and the situation they're in? Well, it's probably a bit of all of those, which means we can do something about it to help them become engaged. And actually, we can do quite a lot, because staff usually become engaged when we help to engage them. So let's look at some of the things that we can do to get staff engaged and boost morale. Now, there are some key strategies that should be permanent for everyone that help shape the culture of a practice. And there are reasons why people want to join the practice and why they want to stay at a practice. And the first of these is meaningful work. Now, we all want to make a difference. That's what meaningful work is. And sometimes, particularly for non-clinicians, it can be hard to see that you're actually making a difference. And if you don't know what it is you're trying to achieve, then it's impossible to know if you've helped to achieve it. But when we understand how our role contributes to the larger goals of the practice, then that's what makes our work more meaningful. Now, in my experience, making work more meaningful is helped by having a clear purpose or goals for the practice, the team, and for individuals. But more than that, it's regularly sharing progress and reminding people when they've made a difference. So, for example, when the receptionist has understood an urgent situation that helped a patient, or when a GP or nurse dealt with that extra pressing emergency. Now, the second key strategy is opportunities for growth. We want to see that staff are committed to us and the practice, but can staff see we're equally committed to them? I've hardly ever, if ever, managed a single person who didn't want to learn new skills. For some, it was significant skills, qualifications, and career progression. But even the receptionists who'd been at the practice for years and gave the impression they didn't want to develop would be upset if you taught others new things and overlooked her. Now, in practice, I invested heavily in opportunities for growth. I lost assistant practice managers because I developed them to go on to be a practice manager elsewhere. But that was okay, because I always had someone else ready to be the new assistant practice manager. We developed our managers and team leads with a dedicated programme, and we offered opportunities for everyone that was over and above the mandatory training. Now, all of these gave a powerful message about how committed we were to each person's growth. So let's look at another two key strategies. And the third one is involvement in decision making. Now, there's a well-known phrase in the NHS, no decision about me without me. But do we apply that as equally to staff as we do to patients? If a decision is going to impact them or the work they do, then surely they should have a voice in the decision making. Now, for me, this was a consistent thing to ask staff for their ideas, their opinions, and their views. It doesn't mean you always have to go with these, as long as you do explain why a different way was better. And I remember asking them about huge things like details of a major refurbishment and little things like signs in the waiting room. For me, it was always about understanding that I did not always know everything or know best. But for them, it was about knowing that their view was important. Now, our last of these four is celebrating success. Now, celebrate does not have to mean a bonus, a gift, or a party. It can be as simple as a well done or a thank you. And they are just as powerful when used regularly and fairly. If you do it to let people know they're valued and appreciated. You'll find that it's going to put springs in steps. And I've always found it feels good doing it. Now, I'm working with one practice at the moment who are brilliant at this, and they work really hard on it. They have a great team spirit and a really positive culture. They never seem to miss an opportunity to celebrate success or mark an occasion. And they make sure everyone is included. And some of the things that they consistently do include a weekly email roundup of the patient compliments, and little wins across the practice. They regularly get small, inexpensive, but well thought out gifts for everyone at occasions throughout the year. And they have a twice a year appreciation day when you can tell one of your colleagues how and why you appreciate them. They do the Christmas and summer party, but they also get everyone together to mark birthdays, departures, and special occasions, and again making sure everybody is included. So there are four key strategies for staff engagement that will improve things. And if you're wondering what to do with these, here's a suggestion for each. For meaningful work, see if each of your team knows how they're contributing to the overall goal. And if they don't, tell them and give them some examples that make it personal. For opportunities for growth, find out what each of your team would like to learn more about or how to do. Or maybe it's a new skill or a way of working that would make their life easier. And make it happen. Start asking your team for their views on decisions to involve them in decision making. And thank them and let them know when it's been helpful. And how about sharing a regular roundup of your compliments and successes, whether that's monthly or weekly, to celebrate success. And the next time you have even a small win, celebrate and then do it again the next time. And then keep doing it. Now, another way to get staff engaged is through giving feedback and managing performance. Now, individuals can only perform better if they know what they can improve and if they're given that information in the right way with an opportunity to do something about it. Now, you can see on the slide the impact that positive feedback has, and also the negative impact when the wrong feedback is given or feedback is given in the wrong way. Now, feedback is really powerful and it's important for engagement, but there are some key things to remember for giving feedback. And I call these the rules of feedback. The first one of these is be timely. Feedback is perishable. A day later has less impact than the same day, and a week later is probably too late. The second one is be specific. Vague feedback is difficult to understand and act on. Vague is, you know, that thing you did the other day that helped the patient, they loved it. Can you show others how to do it? But specific would be, how you cared for Mrs. Jones yesterday was excellent. She greatly appreciated the self-care information you gave her. Can you share this with the rest of the nursing team? The third rule is don't make it personal. Feedback should never feel personal. Keep it professional. Personal is you clearly don't care about the team. You just do whatever suits you. It's exhausting working with someone so self-centered. But professional would be, I've noticed that you are only taking the easiest letters to code and file to records, so your colleagues have to do all of the more complicated letters. This is unfair on them and is affecting morale. I want you to make sure you work with your colleagues from now on to take your equal share. The next rule is make it accountable. You want to make it actionable, sorry. You want to offer practical suggestions and next steps that they can actually do something with. If someone is arriving late, then it should be, you start work at 9 a.m. So I'd like you to get in ahead of this so you can get settled, make a cup of tea, so you're beginning work at 9 a.m. And the last rule is make it meaningful. Find the minutes needed to take the person aside and speak privately, and give your feedback with enough time for them to ask questions and for you to know that it's been understood. Now, feedback also means addressing poor performance. It's probably not something we enjoy, but we have to do it. If not, and it's left unaddressed, then it will start to affect others. Now, I've always found that the best way is to get on with it quickly. And done properly, the results are often better than expected. And the experience was never as bad as I feared. One way to achieve this is to use a tool called EEC. And it's a tool that you can use for both positive and negative performances. EEC is a model, and it's helpful. It helps you provide clear and constructive feedback, and it focuses on a specific example, the effect of the behaviours, and what needs to change or continue. I'll use an example to show you how it works. The example was that Karen was part of the admin team, and she was responsible for collecting the pathology results each morning. She started early every day before appointments began and made sure the results were available for the clinicians. The problem was that Karen often arrived late, not a minute or two, but 30 minutes and usually an hour. Now, the effect of this was that clinicians did not have the information they needed to discuss with patients, or another member of the team had to step in and do Karen's work as well as their own. It was affecting patients, clinicians, and Karen's colleagues. It needed to be addressed. So I called Karen in for a conversation, and I explained the problem using the EEC tool, just as I've described it to you. And after discussing this and getting her side, I was able to make the expectations clear and how Karen needed to change her timekeeping to improve this. Now, you can also use this for positive feedback, and I'll give you an example of somebody in the reception team. And the example is, I want to congratulate you on last week. When we had a sudden surge in calls, you stayed calm and handled patient queries clearly and professionally. The effect of that was that it really helped reduce patient and staff frustration and kept the phone queue moving smoothly. Can you continue to keep doing that? It really makes a difference to patient experience. Now, I've used the EEC tool many times. It makes it easier to prepare and deliver feedback, and it's absolutely clearer to understand. So for feedback and managing performance, next time you have an opportunity to give feedback, think about what you need to say and what to say to get a positive impact. And don't delay delivering your feedback, because remember, feedback is perishable. And the next time you need to address a performance issue, bite the bullet, do it, get on with it, and use the EEC framework. Use it to prepare what you need to say and to make the conversation far easier and clearer. I promise you, it's a tool that really works. Now let's look at getting a team engaged. General practice is all about teams. There's the whole practice team, the leadership team, GP team, nurse team, non-clinical team, and you've probably got other teams as well. So it's important to have all our teams working as well as possible. A bad team can be damaging for an individual and the whole team, and it can even impact the entire practice and patients. A well-known tool for understanding and improving teams is a model by Patrick Lencioni called the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And it shows the common pitfalls that teams face in working together effectively. And we can use this to identify and address problem areas. So let's start with a look at these 5 dysfunctions and see if maybe you recognise any of these in your teams. Now, the first one is inattention to results. And this is about being more focused on personal interests than team goals. And it tends to mean the team goal isn't achieved. The second is avoidance of accountability. And this is when the team doesn't hold each other to account and nobody else does either. You tend to find that rules are applied inconsistently and the performance suffers. The third dysfunction is lack of commitment. And it happens because team members don't understand how their work contributes to the bigger picture, that meaningful work that we talked about. And it leads to confusion and a lack of direction. The fourth is fear of conflict. Now, when this exists, there tends to be a false harmony with disagreements avoided. And you'll usually find that team conversations and meetings are quite passive and uneventful. And the last dysfunction is an absence of trust. Now, trust is the foundation of teamwork. And when it's absent, you tend to find that mistakes and weaknesses are concealed. And there's a lack of openness and collaboration. And you'll often find that individuals are reluctant to ask for help, and they're more likely to jump to conclusions. Now, we all want happy and high-performing teams. So we need to turn these dysfunctions into the functions of our teams. Now, in practice, that might look something like this. If you need attention to results, then set team goals, regularly discuss the progress, and reward team success. So, for example, that might be a clinical coding team. Set a goal to process a set number of documents per day and report weekly and celebrate when that team hits the target. If you need accountability to be embraced, then set clear expectations and make sure everyone understands what's expected of them, and apply the rules and standards equally and consistently. So, for example, it might be how quickly pathology results are processed by the team. Set your expectation of however many days or hours you want that to be, and then hold the team to account if they don't do it, and encourage the team to hold each other to account too. If you need to see commitment, then make sure the team understands how their work contributes to the bigger purpose, that meaningful work again, and regularly remind them what they're working towards. So, for example, a practice I'm working with has shared their practice's purpose with the whole team, and each member has been asked to say how their own work contributes to this. And this has then been built into their performance measures and their appraisals. Now, maybe you need to ensure that conflict is productive. Then make it clear that disagreement is acceptable and encouraged, as long as it's respectful and constructive. So, for example, you might have a GP that's raising concerns that less popular duty sessions are being unfairly allocated. Then make it safe and expected to have those conversations in an open manner and to debate and explore fairer alternatives. Now, lastly, you might need to build trust. Then make regular time for open team discussions. And in this, you need to lead by example and be open about your own mistakes and weaknesses, and encourage team members to share their own thoughts, ideas, and concerns openly. Now, I can recall a mistake made that cost my practice thousands. The mistake was admitted to me, and I was able to communicate this openly and honestly to the partners. And it was only because of the trust that ran through the practice and the certainty that it would be learnt from and not punished. So what can you do with this now? Well, if you need to improve the effectiveness of your teams, then you can try some of these things that we've got here. Use these questions to test your teams for those 5 dysfunctions. And if you do find any areas that you can improve, then try using the actions that we've just talked through. And as I say, the deck's going to be shared, so you'll all have those. Now, all of these things I've shared will improve staff engagement and build morale. They are all actions that I know you can take. Now, remember at the start that disengaged person, or the team maybe, that I asked you to think of at the start of the talk. Can you visualize them again? You got them? What have you just heard that might make a difference? What will you do now to get them engaged? If there is an idea that's standing out for you, I'm not going to get anybody to share anything, but I'd love to know from the chat if there's something that you think, yep, that's something that I can try. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope it's given you something to think about, and maybe some tools and ideas to help you improve staff engagement and build morale. They're all actions that work. There's nothing that I haven't tried and used before. So I know that you can do that too. And I hope it's also made you curious about other things that I provide through Leadership in Practice that you can explore. And here's 6 suggestions for you. The QR code goes to the website. You can try some of the tools we've heard today. You can join the next Leadership Lunchbox, which will be Monday, the 22nd of September at 12 p.m. You can download the free resources on the website. You could sign up to our monthly newsletter. You won't get spammed. It's a single monthly newsletter. And you could listen to the episodes of the Leadership in Practice podcast. Or you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm a big user of LinkedIn, happy to connect there. I'm also always happy to have a call to say hi and discuss ideas. I've done that with a couple of people since running these lunchboxes, so always happy to do that. Get in touch if you'd like to. And outside of these, I provide away days, development programs to help you and your practice develop. So if you want to just bounce some ideas around, get in touch and we can talk about, what advantages we might be able to help you with. So thank you for joining today. I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions. I know we've had some pop up in the chat, so we'll look at those. I'll email the slide deck this afternoon. QR code's still there for the website. I'd also love to know what you thought of the lunchbox today. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 for bad, 5 excellent, or 1 stinks, 5's the bee's knees, just stick a number in the chat. I'd just love to know what you thought, and all numbers are good. So I'm going to stop sharing, but I'm going to look at these questions that have been popped in the chat. Where can I find the podcast? Victoria's asked. They are all on our website, Victoria, but also your favourite podcast player, Apple, Spotify, they're all on those as well. So you can, access them really easy. What have we got? Peter Maynard, 5 dysfunctions in your experience, so they start at the top and grow down to the bottom, or vice versa. My experience has been that there's not necessarily a way in which they grow, but I've always found that the trust is the root to so many of the problems. In the absence of trust, it seems to sort of compound problems in the other areas. But that's the biggest connection I've found. The Lencioni's diagram is always shown as a triangle, but I don't know that that's for any reason other than it, nice way to show it. But trust I've always found is a key one there. And James, thank you for adding to that. The interloop, depending on the scenarios. Have we got any other questions? What have we got? Okay, I think we're getting some. Karen has said, one thing I do is write a handwritten card to a member of staff when they've done something very good. Love that idea. And making sure everyone's involved. So brilliant. Okay, well, if anybody's got any other questions, I don't think there's anything else in the chat. Yvette's asked, when staff issues are beyond our help, despite the support we give you, Yvette, is your question, what would you do when it's beyond help, despite the support?
Hi, Gary.
Hi, Yvette.
Yeah, we have a couple of staff that have personal issues outside work. I've never, in the years I've been managing staff, had so many staff that have unbelievable issues going on outside of work. And how to support them. We have an employees assistance program. We have a staff counsellor. We do lots of the things you've already mentioned, but their personal problems are really tough, and they bring that to work.
Yeah, I today didn't address the pastoral side, but I think as a practice manager, that should be something that you're considering as well. But for me, it was always a case of making sure that you were doing as much as you can in that area. But there's always got to be a line at which problems don't come to work. As much as we can, they should not come to work. So I think, if I were making sure I was addressing the pastoral care as much as I could, I've made everything clear about what was expected of them. I'm doing all of the things that we talked about today, the feedback and the opportunities for growth and meaningful work, doing all of those things. If it wasn't going anywhere, then, it's maybe a conversation about, is it the right place for them? But, its circumstances for each individual one will vary greatly, and, what's going outside of work and what you're comfortable doing and how it impacts the team. But, sometimes it's also about those hard decisions.
Okay,
I don't know whether that helps, Yvette, but...
No, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we're a minute over. I'm happy to stay on and answer any more questions. Thank you very much. And hopefully we see you 22nd of September for the next one. Thanks very much.